We just got called to this body shop for a super heartwarming detailing restoration, and we wanted to bring you guys along the way. What we have here is a 1963 Pontiac LeMans that was stashed away in a barn in 1999 and was literally brought to this body shop only a week ago. But the reason why it was brought to the body shop is why we wanted to do this detail.
All right, 7:45 in the morning. We were called about this barn find yesterday after we got rained out with another barn find that we were supposed to be picking up, and it's already 92 degrees. But thankfully, we have a barn find 1963 LeMans that I know literally zero about. So this is going to be going through a full restoration. This thing is pretty rad.
This thing's really sweet. I really like these cars. I don't know a ton, but I've always known that they've been called baby GTOs. For some reason that stuck in my head really hard when you said Le Mans. And then another interesting about Pontiac, if you guys didn't hear this, Pontiac shut down a few years ago. They're supposed to be coming back.
I heard.
So that's really cool.
They're coming back with the Firebird, right?
I'm not sure exactly. Well, they discontinued the Camaro. So maybe they're gonna bring back the Firebird. That's a great transition, but I don't know.
I heard they were gonna make the Camaro an SUV.
Please don't
Look
do that.
what they did to my boy, the Mustang. Ugh.
Well, they had this for the Corvette as well. Did you ever see the pictures of the Corvette?
I heard.
SUV?
They haven't done it yet, thankfully.
Out of town.
Hey, those look familiar. We've done quite a lot of those lately. First impressions are, oh, looks like we got some rattle can paint on the tire, so maybe this paint isn't, it's on the back tire over here.
I see
but you probably see it on those as well.
Too. Hey, look, classic. Wash me.
There's no way that this is an original top though. This thing's actually in really good shape. I think we have a good chance of actually bringing it back 100%. So thankfully this was recovered yesterday out of the barn and brought to this nice shop with flat concrete, and the car rolls. So it's gonna be a lot easier than most of our recoveries to get it into the trailer. But it's only gonna get hotter and hotter the longer that we talk to this camera. So we should probably get a move on and start pushing.
So as we start moving the car out of the place where it was sitting and loading it up in our trailer, I should mention, we haven't even gone over the reason why we took on this detail yet, but as soon as we got it back to the shop, RJ went a little bit more into detail about it.
All right, so we're back with the 63 Le Mans, which we just found out is actually a Tempest Le Mans. Apparently in 1963, they changed from making compact cars to intermediate sized cars, and they put the bigger motor, and then they started calling it the Le Mans instead of the Tempest Le Mans. But I'm 99.9% positive this is the Tempest Le Mans, being that it's a compact car. Anywho, the reason that the owner of this car bought it and pulled it out of that barn was because his father recently has had some medical issues and he can't handle the big V8 muscle car that he was driving prior to his surgery. So his son bought him, you know, something that's much more easier to handle, it's a lot easier to steer, doesn't weigh as much, so that his father can drive this around and look cool all summer long while he recovers. I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. The front end screams muscle car to me, and then as we move down the side, the trim, the fins, the body lines, and eventually as we move into the back of the car, starts to, you know, kind of show its age, or at least show when it was designed, where, you know, you kind of have the contour lines to the fins and the tail lights and whatnot. It seems like it still was holding on to some of that 50s era design cues before it fully kind of transitioned to, you know, the late 60s muscle car aesthetic. It's kind of silly because I feel like it's almost to a muscle car, but still not.
Coming along the other side of the car, what I noticed stuck out to me really hard was these overspray right on the tires. So you never really know the condition of a car's paint when it's all dirty like this, whether it was rattle canned or painted well or has drips in the clear coat or whatnot. But it's pretty clear that this seems to be a spray can kind of thing. So that's gonna be a job for RJ to try to figure out how we're gonna make this thing come back to life.
Not only do we have overspray on the tire, but then we have some sweet paint matched key locks here. So, you know, that's always a nice touch that I don't think came from the factory. But I'm gonna try and make this paint look as good as I can under the conditions that it's in. And maybe I'll even show a little bit of wet sanding. I'm not gonna do the whole car because realistically, they'll probably just rat rot it, or maybe send it in for paint. I don't know what the plans are for the owner, but maybe I'll pick a spot and do a little bit of sanding and show how you could texture match and sand down rattle can and even polish it out to where you get a mirror finish. But that's a lot of work that I don't have the time nor the will to do. So the goal is gonna be to just make it look as good as possible so that the owner's father can ride around in style. But the first thing we have to do is clean the wheels, but before we start, we're gonna try and locate the hubcaps, which I'm going to delegate to Michael.
So I was already in the car. I caught a glimpse of what I thought looked like a rim cover. So let me see what we have. Oh man, I didn't really have a good sight of this thing. This thing's a lot more gross, but yeah, okay. Well, there's three of them. Maybe the fourth one's lingering around here somewhere. I don't see it.
Is it next to that dead body?
Oh gosh.
I can see it from
That's
here.
disgusting. I totally glazed right over that guy. Oh, that one's old. I don't remember the last time we found something that looked that dry. Hold on, let me just pull that out for us, just to see. I think it's a sticky pad. Oh, that's super gross.
Ew.
I've never seen one so dry like that. Okay, let's get to the wheels. This is too much.
Now for cleaning these wheels, these tires 100% need to be and are going to be replaced so they can be driven on safely. But because this is YouTube, we wanted to get the best result possible just for you guys, even though it really wasn't necessary. So we pulled out some acetone along with the Scotch-Brite pad, and we tried to scrape off as much of the spray paint as possible. And you'll see it definitely made a difference, although not 100% of it came off because it was in the nooks and crannies of the rubber pretty deep. But we wanted to put in that extra elbow grease just for you guys.
Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad to see you today, and it's a fantastic day to do a bit of cleaning. And today we have a dirty truck seat that's in need of a friend. All you need to clean this vinyl seat is Puro APC HD, your favorite brush, and a microfiber towel. Now it's time to make our first major decision. I think I'm gonna start here. And while we let Puro APC HD settle into the vinyl, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to brush away all that dirt, grit, grease, and grime. I'm gonna start with circular brushing and let Puro do most of the work. And maybe some up and down. It's whatever you feel. Some side to side. Everyone and their brushing's a little bit different. So whatever makes you feel most like you. Now, grease and dirt aren't our enemy, and it has its time and place, but that place is not here, and that time is not now. There we go. And just remember, when you're cleaning, there's no mistakes, just happy cleaning accidents. And there we have it, a fresh, clean work truck seat. If you'd like to purchase Puro APC HD, you can go to purocarcare.com. And if not, that's okay too. We're just happy you're here with us. Thanks for stopping by, happy cleaning, and God bless.
So now for the pressure washing, we're going to pre-soak every panel that we use the pressure washer on with Puro, and that's going to loosen up all the dirt so we're not leaving scratches in the paint while we're spraying it away. Now something must have leaked onto the car or dripped onto the paint while I was sitting in that barn for the last 25 plus years. And although it was definitely some sort of heavy grease, that's nothing that Puro couldn't take care of. Just another good use case for it. All we did was use Puro to keep lubricating it and use a microfiber towel to wipe it away, and eventually it all came off. Now getting onto the vinyl top, it was time to see if we could bring it back to life. So what we did was spray Puro on it and then spray that away. Then reapply Puro and use a drill brush to clean it, sprayed that away, and then we applied it one more time and used a hand brush and sprayed that away. And unfortunately, as you'll see from the results, it didn't come out 100% perfectly white. So I'm assuming this might be the original rag top, but if you guys have any advice for what we could try in the future for something like this, leave it in the comments. We're going to be reading them and we're going to try them again in the future.
Now moving on to the engine bay. This is one of the quirkiest motors that I've ever had the privilege of working on. It's actually a V8 split in half. So it was derived from the GM 389 cubic inch motor, and it is literally cut right in half to a 4-cylinder inline engine that I think is like a 194.32 something cubic inches. So it's literally a complete cut down the middle of the V8 engine. Although it didn't have a ton of horsepower, I think somewhere between 110, maybe up to 160, depending on some configurations, but it has a transaxle transmission, and it also is a 4-speed manual. So it had 50-50 weight distribution and was probably a lot of fun to drive. And on top of all that, even though it is a compact car, it was pretty spacious on the interior. So it was not a ton of power, but I bet you this thing was a ton of fun to drive and was pretty comfortable during the driving as well. So now it's time to pull off the airbox and see what we got cooking underneath, under door number 1. Hey, it's nice and clean under there.
This is the interesting design, though.
And what's also interesting is that it was a 4-barrel carb on a 4-cylinder motor. I don't know what that actually means, to be honest. Why is a 4-barrel so good for a 4-cylinder motor?
I think the more complex the carb, like versus 2-barrel versus 4, there is a better fuel to air ratio. Like it's just more consistent. Same thing with newer age cars, like better delivery of fuel system.
So more fuel, more air, more compression, more power?
Something like the nature.
Let us know in the comments why a 4-barrel on a 4-cylinder is a good thing, because truthfully, we've never worked on carbureted cars, so we don't know.
I don't know.
Let me know.
To be completely honest. So yeah, let us know. What's the reasoning? Why would you do it? Okay, this guy came up pretty easy.
Very nice and clean.
That's actually quite an interesting design, though. Like I've never seen him with that. This moves actually pretty freely, so that's good. But we should be able to cover this up and get it all cleaned up pretty easily. Coming to the interior of this 63 Le Mans, we see quite a few interesting aspects. Again, we've seen a lot of older cars that have the painted interior bits that I actually really like, because you never see anything like that. That design just totally fell out of the wayside. But we have another really interesting aspect. This is a Pontiac, but the only badge I found on the entire vehicle is actually right down here, which is so weird. Like, there's no Pontiac sign anywhere else on the car that I can find. What I like a lot more than that is actually the Le Mans badge, which is sweet with racing style flags on each side. I think that's like a nice little touch with the swooping dash. So this car obviously was rattle canned, and that shows through on the interior where we've got paint on this not specific carpet that's not supposed to be in here. Now, usually you see us clean up all the carpet, but sadly, this stuff doesn't even belong in here, and the owner doesn't want us to clean it. He just wants us to take it all out and just get rid of it because it's essentially unusable. Probably one of the worst things I think they did to this car is whatever material they used for this steering wheel. Not many steering wheels fall apart like this, but this starts getting cracks and just stuff gets all in it, and it's really gross. I wouldn't, even after cleaning it, I don't really think it's salvageable. It probably should just be changed. I got a lot of work ahead of me. I got to get these seats out and dig in and see what kind of work they did to this car.
Like we mentioned before, the owner said that we were more than welcome to rip out this house carpeting and throw it away. So we already did that with the back, got the seats out, and now we're gonna pull this shag carpeting from the front. But before we even do that, we have Stewie Little's great grandfather, and he's a full-blown skeleton right now. And we just wanted to mention that thank you to all you guys for all the information that you have emailed us and commented. We are using our respirators much more. Sometimes it's difficult to do our talking points with the respirators on, but whenever we are kicking up dust and dirt and likely mouse urine, we will be fully protected respirator-wise, and if we're ever short of breath, we're immediately going to the hospital because we deal with these guys probably more than like 99.9% of the United States population. So thank you guys for the concern about our health, and just want to let you guys know that we are taking it serious, and we have a HEPA filter on the way too to purify the air in here. So we appreciate the concern, and we are taking your advice. Here, Mike, turn that off. I need you to go in this corner. I think I see something. Swear, I think this is the little nesty.
Yeah, it is. That's a mouse.
Grab him.
Oh, gross.
Grab him. Oh, he's crusty.
This one's a lot newer than the other ones, though.
What's he holding on to?
A little bit fuzz. A little bit of his house.
Now we're gonna clean all the vinyl and all the chrome inside of the car using chrome polish with some steel wool. And I believe the color of this interior that you're seeing now is pretty close to what the exterior color was before they rattle canned the car orange. Now, something that was really cool that you'll see in multiple cases in this video was that overspray got onto chrome, like on these seats and on the bumpers, but we were able to remove it and make them look so much better. Wait till you see the before and after on this.
All right, so the Le Mans is all washed and decontaminated, and this is usually when I would inspect the paint in order to polish it, but because it's a rattle can job, there's not really any polishing that I can do, but there is wet sanding that I can do in order to remove all this texture and make this paint shiny again. Now, that would be a ton of work for me to do the whole entire car, and the owner thinks that he's gonna end up repainting this car, so I asked him if he would allow me to use a small test spot to show you guys what it takes to actually make a rattle can job like this shiny again, so I'm going to do just that. All right, so when you're looking at a rattle can job or bad paint job like this, what you're seeing, this cloudiness, this lack of reflection, is actually just the highs and lows of the paint when it was applied. So it dries unevenly, and because of that, it doesn't reflect the light that a good paint job would. So in this case, we're gonna try and flatten out the highs in order to be flat with the valley. That'll allow the light to reflect and refract off the paint and give you that shine and luster that everyone wants from a good paint job. So I'm gonna start out with 1500 grit sandpaper and the sanding block. I'm just going to lightly sand that top layer of paint. You can hear as I keep going, it gets softer and softer, and that's me removing the texture. That's me removing the mountains. And I use water in between to go ahead and flush out my paper so it doesn't get clogged up with paint. All right, that should do it for the 1500. Next step is 3000 to go ahead and smooth it out, and then I'll go ahead and polish, and we'll see what we're left with. All right, so now that the 3000 grit sanding is done, it's time to go ahead and polish those sanding marks away and see what we're left with. Again, it's not gonna be perfect, but it is gonna be a lot better. And finally, a light polish to remove any rotary marks. We'll pull the tape and see what we're left with. So as you can see, the spot that isn't sanded and polished compared to the spot that is sanded and polished is a night and day difference. It couldn't be more different. But I am gonna end up leaving it like that because the amount of work it would take for me to do the whole entire car, I don't have the time for it, and I don't have the will to do it either, especially because the vehicle is gonna get repainted anyway. But that is how you would remove texture and make this car shiny again.
And now we're gonna polish the rest of the chrome, clean the windows, do some of the final details, and the car's good to go. But afterwards, we wanted to see if we could get it to start, so make sure you keep watching till the end.
under the hood of this Le Mans, we are going to try to get this thing started. But first, I'm going to check the coolant and then check the oil. Let's see what we're looking at. I know the reservoir here is completely empty, sadly, but let's see what we have here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that on camera, Brent, but that is not a good sight. There's quite a bit of rust in here, so this will probably need to be, some people like to try to clean them out, but this probably needs to be replaced. I would really suggest that. But if we're just gonna get the car started for a second, this isn't a big deal. But let's check the oil next. Right over here. All right, so we're over the full sign. Some people don't know how to put oil in their cars, but it is not great oil. This needs an oil change, that's for sure, but it's there, so I think we are good to go. I've hooked the power up to this car already. Sadly, all the fuel is rotten. It's been sitting for so long that I disconnected the fuel rail to the carburetor. I'm going to be dripping fuel in to supply it with fuel. Hopefully we could get it to idle a little bit off of that, just a slow drip. Let's just give it a shot and see what happens.
Whoa, we're in gear, baby.
Dude.
Oh, crap. Who put it in gear? Here goes nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No, something messed up.
No.
All right, last try of the day, folks.
Sure.
It's a fresh battery, and the jump box was fully charged too, so I have no idea why this isn't starting. And this is something that we really want to implement in our videos, and so I'm actually going to have a meeting tomorrow with a local shop that might be helping us with a situation just like this. So thankfully for this car, the owner is a mechanic, and he will be doing the mechanical restoration, and this will be back on the road, driven by his father this summer while he recovers from his heart surgery. But stay tuned, because I think we're gonna have a lot more cars be brought back to life mechanically on this channel. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more, hit subscribe. And if you want to help us reach more people with our videos, we'd appreciate a like. And thank you very much to Bob Ross. He was an American icon that changed a lot of people's lives and taught a lot of people how to love themselves, and forever changed the world in the most positive way. So shout out to Bob Ross, and thank you for your contributions to humanity.